Today I want to share with you some of the different structures within the units of study. Each of these structures has a purpose within the workshop to help really solidify the learning for all of the students. Once you understand these different structures, you can use that when you're writing lessons from if-then units, or if you are doing something else with workshop altogether, or even with math or science workshop. You can use these same structures to build out other lessons as well. The mini lesson starts with the connect. So the connect is a way to orient the learners to the lesson, let them know what they're going to be learning, but also really to engage them with a story, an analogy, or some kind of example from life. And I believe that they really try to make it something that we might even seem like normal, so that they have examples from like typical life and not just exciting things. They don't want to think, oh, my life's not that exciting. So we might talk about going to the grocery store or something that happened to us at home. It connects to the teaching point, which is the next step. So the teaching point is basically stating explicitly what they will learn. And it often is, today I want to teach you, or today I will teach you that. From there, we dive into the teaching. And typically the teaching is a demonstration and whole group practice using a shared text. And this really goes for both reading and writing. So maybe you're using a shared book or a shared text that you're reading either on the board or something that you've been reading together. You could also use, with writing, it would be a model writing or a shared writing, something you've done together. The teaching is a demo, and then the whole group practice is typically encouraging that, okay, now it's your turn. You help me do this. And so really gathering the class to join in with the lesson. The active engagement is where the learners practice with their partners in partnerships. So this time is typically when they're using their own text. It's something that they've brought with them, either their writing folder or their book that they've read. A tip that you can use is that when they come to the carpet, every single time you bring your writing folder or your book, depending on the workshop, and either sit on it or tuck it under your leg. Once that becomes a routine, then they kind of understand those expectations, and so they can pull it out when they need to for the active engagement. During this time when they're in partnerships, that's when the educator moves around, just kind of peeks over and takes note, like mental note, maybe even jots down some notes of anyone who might have some challenges, not quite understand a concept. And then you can also coach in. So you would not become a team, but quickly coach a partner. You want this to be pretty quick, and so timing yourself is a great idea for that. Within the books, if the teach and the engage are side by side, that lets you know that that lesson is more of a guided practice and might not have a demonstration with that. The link is the last part of the mini lesson where they restate the teaching point, and then you would give choices for today's work. So you would give them, you might want to start a new story and tell about the characters, or you may want to work on a story that you've already started, maybe the one you were working on yesterday. And so give them a couple of options that they could do, and then they go off, and that's when you say, off you go, and send them away to write or to read and really work on the work. All right, so the next part I like to call workshop time. It's where the kids really get in and do the work. So they're doing lots of independent practice, reading and writing. Sometimes it's independent, sometimes it is with partners. So we want to provide the learners with support to be independent. Just like my kindergarten friends up here in the top right, they were in the middle of writer's workshop and they needed some papers. Instead of stopping to ask their teacher and interrupting the lesson, they went and they knew exactly where to go, and they grabbed it and they went and sat back down. So allowing them to have some independence can free up some extra time for the educator. Another tip is to let them settle first and then answer questions as needed. Instead of, are there any questions? Is just say, off you go. And then kind of put the practice of they sit down, and once they sit down, they start writing, then they can raise their hand and ask questions. Sometimes I say, why don't you just try writing something first, and then I'm going to come around when I get a chance and answer your question. Sometimes if they have I don't know how to find this, or I don't know what to do, I might ask, how can you solve that yourself? Or can your partner help you? Or if they're like, oh, my paper, I need tape. Well, where might you find tape? And so really giving them those supports that they can become independent and not rely so heavily on the teacher helping them with every step. That will free up your time for things like conferring and small group work. This is a section within the units of study. There'll be a page that says conferring and small group work. So what you do is you use the data to pull small groups. Within the units, there are some great lessons. These are not the main lessons. So if you're not able to do this exact lesson, or if it doesn't meet your learner's needs, that's okay. You are the teacher. You use things like the high priority learning standards. You would use other small group, like other ideas from the units of study. You could use the progression. You could use anchor charts. You could use checklists to really guide your small groups. The lessons in there are great. Sometimes we don't get a chance to read them, or sometimes they don't fit our learners. And so that's really up to you as a teacher being an expert. Typically for your small group, you would meet around 10 minutes and let them go do the work. We often like to keep our learners longer. We really want to teach them more, but they really only focus best, especially our younger ones, for 10 minutes or even less. So let them do some work with you, some small group, and then send them off to do the work and let them be independent. It's okay, because you're going to circle back to them again. We know you will. When you confer, you can use that teacher's college structure of you research and you really listen and kind of linger in the research phase. So you listen to what they're saying, maybe do some digging into their writing, then you decide what you want to teach. Don't forget the compliment, and then you teach, and then send them off. Timing yourself on this is great as well. It can be difficult, and we may want to spend a lot of time working on the writing, but if we really choose one thing that's transferable, that they can keep working on throughout their writing, and again, you're going to come back to it. You're going to meet with them again. So they need that repetition anyway. Meet with them for a short time, send them away, maybe scan the room, and then find another learner to confer with or pull a small group. The mid-workshop teach, it's a very short interruption, and it's really to teach a transferable skill. Again, just like with the conferring and small group work section in the books, the mid-workshop teach are great, just like tiny 1 minute. Hey everyone, remember, great writers do, and then you say something. You might even highlight, I noticed that someone added text features and they started adding a glossary at the back of their book. You can do that too. We have 5 more minutes, keep writing. And so it's just a way to give them a break. It might redirect some of the learners who are a little off task, and it helps refocus them, especially if you tell them how many more minutes, so it can build stamina. Again, the mid-workshop teach within your textbook or within the book is great. It might not meet your learner's needs. Maybe you're walking around and you notice that more people need a certain topic or idea. You can use, again, to get your ideas, you can use your progression, you can use checklist, you can use the anchor charts. And then finally is the share. And the share is really used as a review or teach. So if you read the share within the books, often it's almost never share with your partner. There's always a purpose. You review a skill and then you share something specific. Today, share one page where you really decided to show us how the character was feeling, and share that with your partner. Sometimes you might, if you're short on time, pick one person and have that person share with the class. So that person, Brittany, our teacher's college person said she called it making someone famous. And that really helps if someone may be a reluctant writer. You can make them famous by having them share quickly with the class, or you share with the class for them. I wanted to add, don't forget the celebration. I think sometimes when we're done with a unit, it might be like just ready to move on, or we have other things to do, but the celebration is really exciting for reading and writing. If you're looking for ideas, there is a Facebook group for Teachers College Reading, Teachers College Writing, and they have so many different ideas. Twitter, people all over Coppell are doing really cool things as their celebration, and it's just a way to wrap up the unit. And then if it's writing, you can send that writing home. If it's reading and you've collected things, you can send that home, and then it's time to start something new. So it's just a way to have closure for the unit, but also just really to get everyone excited about what they're doing. Everyone loves a celebration. Lastly, I have a few tips for planning. This is a screenshot. These are shots from what Brittany from Teachers College did, and I've used this format before, and it's just a quick way to synthesize the lesson into your own ideas. They're short, they're easy, and it's right there. And then you can keep it for next year, and it's already in your book. It's not anywhere else. This is my preferred method. I know there are lots of ways that lots of people do it, and you just got to find what works for you. For me, I like to quickly synthesize it and then write it in a short summary on these. I hope this was helpful, and happy teaching.